Hey, Amazon sellers. I want to share something that can completely change the way you run your business. For the last decade, I've built a world-class Amazon team that's helped me sell over $50 million on the platform and scale multiple seven-figure brands. Now, that same team and process is available to help you build, grow, and scale your Amazon business. This is not a course. It's not a DIY program. It's done for you Amazon growth handled by proven experts. We handle everything from listing optimization and SEO to PPC, inventory, catalog management, promotions, review strategy, compliance, and new product launches. So you can focus on running your business while we handle the rest. If you're ready to turn your Amazon channel into a profit machine, visit the link in the show notes, calendly.com/firingtheman/Amazon, and book a time to see if this is a good fit for you.
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome to Firing the Man, the podcast for entrepreneurs, brand builders, and e-commerce operators ready to break free from hustle and build something that truly scales. I'm your host, David Schomer, and today's guest has mastered the Amazon trenches and surfaced with playbooks that real brand owners can use right now. Meet Andy Isom, an Amazon seller, e-commerce brand owner, and founder of the Weavos agency. He's also the voice behind the top-ranked podcast, Built by Business, where he shares no-fluff, actionable strategies from inside the trenches of brand building. Whether you're launching your first product or managing a seven-figure catalog, Andy dissects what really matters in Amazon FBA, from navigating the A9 to A10 algorithm shift to fixing silent conversion killers, outsmarting complacency, and capitalizing on new PPC tools that most sellers haven't even launched. Today, we'll go beyond generic e-commerce advice. We're digging into designing systems that maintain growth without burnout, optimizing for profitability over rankings, and scaling using precision, not guesswork. So whether you're a side hustle, startup, or a catalog builder scaling your portfolio, this episode will arm you with the type of blueprints you can put to work immediately. Let's fire it up with Andy Isom. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So to start things off, can you share with our audience a little bit about your background and path in the e-commerce world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, quick version of my story is this is kind of the fun story. This is a story I think people like to hear. Is I was actually in college. I was sitting in a class. I can't remember what the class was. It was a business school class. I graduated with a business degree. But I remember this vividly still to this day. It was 2015. I even remember the two kids that were sitting right next to me. I was sitting in the back row of class, having a lecture in one of our business classes. And these two kids next to me are looking at their laptop and they're looking at some like software tool thing. And all I can see is a bunch of toothbrushes, like toothbrush head replacements for like an electric toothbrush. I can see a whole bunch of those and I see just a bunch of numbers, like dollar signs and, reviews. I was like, so I'm kind of like not paying attention to the teacher at this point, and I'm kind of just like looking over at their laptop, like, what are these guys doing? And finally, after class, like I had to ask them, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry, but like I was totally just peeping on what you guys were doing because they're not paying attention. They're like both like whispering to each other, like looking on the screen. It's like, what were you guys doing? They're like, oh, dude. It's this software tool. It's called Jungle Scout. And you can see like how many products are selling on Amazon. So like we're looking at a product that, we might want to sell on Amazon. And we can see like how much money people are making selling this. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So then they're showing me and they're going to sell like, generic brand of like Oral-B electric toothbrush head replacements. Like you can sell $100,000 a month of these. You get them from China, right? You sell them for cheaper than the name brand. And, that's like what you do. And I was like, whoa, that is crazy. So I actually, from that was again like 2015. I'm still in college. I actually went home that day, looked up Jungle Scout. At the time, this is what's crazy about Jungle Scout too. You could get a lifetime subscription for $50. So I got hooked up, lifetime Jungle Scout access for $50 because they're like startup new thing. And I started messing with it. And sorry, I said long story short, but to kind of like, I guess now shorten the tail end here of the story, I dabbled in some products while I was still in college. I had just recently got married. I was so broke. I had no job in college. I don't know why I even went down this path. I'm ordering samples from China, getting a bill for $200 from UPS. And my wife was so mad at me. Oh my gosh. Because I didn't know like how to do all this. Like I didn't know that I shouldn't give a UPS account to a supplier. I didn't realize like, oh, you should ask them for the shipping price up front. Because all I did is I'm like, yeah, I'll set up a UPS account. Here's your account. Here's my account number. And then they sent me a bill for $200. I was like, oh crap. Anyways, I had a lot of like learning the hard way early on. But in 2018, I had a job at that point, I had some money, and my wife and I and our friends, we actually very legitimately launched our first brand. And then, yeah, took off from there and been kind of in the Amazon e-commerce space since then.
Outstanding. And I must have got in on the Jungle Scout Chrome extension. I think I might have paid $99 for it, but it's for a lifetime. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with my Chrome tab open, still looking at it, and it's outstanding. So that's really, really cool. So tell us about some of, you talked a little bit about the early days kind of experimenting, but, with that first brand, what did that look like? And what did you do?
Yeah. So we started a pet brand again back in 2018. And I guess to kind of, this is a story that I've told so many times over the years with people about like, how did you come up with the product? How did you decide on that's what you wanted to sell? And I'm a big believer that I think a lot of the most successful brands are born more from an internal idea, problem, passion from the founder, and not as much from a tool telling you what you should sell. And I've coached dozens of people now privately, like one-on-one over the past 5 years. And I've seen that same sort of thing play out where my students, clients who are the most successful selling products online, Amazon mainly as being kind of a focus, the most successful are the people who, again, they like had an internal problem that they were trying to solve for themselves, or a desire, a passion around a hobby or something. And then they dug deeper into that to figure out either what's a product that fit and aligned with that, or they had a product idea and they kind of dived a little bit deeper into like, okay, I have this idea, but how do I actually make this idea viable and profitable? Versus, again, I've seen so many people fail in e-commerce, Amazon in particular, by just purely relying on a tool like a Jungle Scout or a Helium or whatever tool you want to use, where they say, I put in all my number criteria and this is the product the tool tells me I should sell. I don't know anything about this, but because Jungle Scout says, oh, I should sell hair wigs, I launch hair wigs, don't know anything about the customer, nothing about this, don't know what problem I need to solve, don't know how to price, anything. And then they wonder why it fails. Many times because, again, they'll fizzle out, lose interest, give up, not have the energy or emotion to the brand to like see it through to profitability. So yeah, this was a product and a brand that we had a dog. So my wife was actually hand sewing dog bandanas for our dog and posting pictures on Instagram just because we liked sharing cute photos of our puppy. And people were DMing us saying, where did you get that? And my wife's like, I made it. I literally sewed it. And so people would ask like, hey, can you make me one? She's like, yeah, sure. Give me $20 and I'll go to Joann's, buy fabric that you want and sew it. And we would literally like getting Venmo'd, dropping it off on people's porches. And then kind of all the pieces connected where, again, I had that history of Amazon dabbling in some stuff. So I'm always looking at it like, is this an opportunity? Is this an opportunity? And then we partnered with our friends, did some research, saw like, oh, there's an actual opportunity. And then we used the tools to find the gap that we needed to fill. So that's how we figured out like, all right, what bundle should we sell? What price point? Where is the gap in this market that needs to be filled? And that's, I think, where like the power of the tools come into play is you kind of pair like your natural intuition knowledge around the category product with what the data is telling you, and you kind of find that sweet spot, and it worked.
Outstanding. I love that story, and what a gritty way to start is making your own products and selling them, and that's outstanding. Is that a brand that you still are running today?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's talk about Amazon as we sit here talking in 2025. You will hear a lot of people say, the days of Amazon's glory days are behind us, and it's really hard to be successful on Amazon now. And so I'm curious, how would you respond to those people?
This is a question that I've been asked a lot over probably the past 2 years. I would say the end of 2023 is when the sentiment I feel like really started to come to the forefront of like e-commerce is like Amazon FBA is dead. Amazon FBA is dead. I think like almost every business opportunity that I've kind of dabbled in throughout my whole life has kind of gone through a similar type of, I don't know, curve where, someone figures out a business opportunity like drop shipping. I dabbled in drop shipping. I sold fishing gear drop shipping through a Shopify store, AliExpress. I did the whole thing. Where you see like someone discovers a new leverage, a new opportunity like drop shipping. It's, supply and demand, where there's a lot of demand for people who are willing to buy products from a drop shipping site, and there's not as much supply. So then obviously people hear about it, they see how easy it is, you get into it, and then, within a few years, the curve kind of starts to peak where the supply and demand kind of either levels out or flips and goes the other way, where there's too much supply and not enough demand. And that's when you kind of hit that moment of like, it's too saturated, it's dead, it's dying. Because to me, it's just a lot of supply and demand economics there. I also think there's a factor of kind of fatigue, like audience fatigue, where, and I mean, I'm in this world, right? I've sold courses on Amazon, I've done Amazon coaching, but the more that the category, the business opportunity grows, there's more people talking about it, more people selling courses, selling coaching, more people running ads on Instagram, on Facebook. And so I think just the general public over time kind of starts to get a bad taste in their mouth about it. I think that's kind of like the first initial phases is when you first see a Facebook ad about Amazon FBA like being this great opportunity in 2020, you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is an incredible opportunity. But once you're seeing Facebook ads in 2025 about Amazon FBA is amazing, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of these. Like, I've been seeing these ads for 5 years. Like, why are we still pushing this? Like, so I think just that also kind of plays a factor in the dying, like the business model's dying, is people are just getting sick of hearing about it. We're humans. Like, humans like new stuff. I mean, that's why we continually shop and buy new clothes. It's like, we like what's new. And so we get just sick of hearing about Amazon FBA, sell on Amazon. So I do think that like those type of things have contributed to a negative view of selling on Amazon as an opportunity in 2025. But I think with like pretty much every business model, even since like, I don't know, the beginning of time, farming, let's even say, is there still an opportunity to make money farming, being a farmer? Yes, absolutely. Is it very different than it was in the 1800s? Yes, for sure. So I think it's like, is the opportunity dead? No. But is it evolved? Is it different? Yes, definitely. And so if you're still thinking that, Amazon FBA is the same opportunity it was in 2020, it's not. but can you still make a living from it and do really well and start now and be successful? Absolutely. But you're going to have to approach it with a different strategy, in the same way that like you're not going to go out with a hand plow and start hand plowing corn and think that like you're going to support your family with hand tools, garden or farming. You're going to need equipment and, you know, automation and all the things to make it an actual viable business for you.
I very much agree with you. And I think I know there are millionaires made on Amazon every single day. And that has not stopped. And in terms of market share, it's still the go-to place for people shopping online. And if you think of it as a mall, it's the biggest mall in the world. There's a lot of people going to that mall every single day. And when you try to visualize the traffic on Amazon as people going into a mall, it's hard to even comprehend, right? And so, let's talk about, and this is to the new Amazon seller. This is to the experienced Amazon seller. What are some characteristics of products that you've seen do well or tend to do well? And this may be the economics of the product, where we're looking at landed cost to sale price. This may be the size of the product or maybe a price point. But what seems to do well these days?
I love that question. Man, that's such a juicy question. I feel like we could talk for 4 hours on this question. But a motto that I have lived by, the people who listen to my podcast, they know this. They've heard me literally say this probably 100 times in 5 years, is small, lightweight, and simple. Like I have preached that for 5 years. I would say small and lightweight from like the perspective of profitability is still like a huge winning factor. Shipping can eat up a ton of your cost, as people learn when they first launch products, especially if you're sourcing from China, right? So having something that's small and lightweight, huge advantage. And then obviously, if it's a product that you can source for a reasonably low cost and mark it up for a decent price. Like I still think the sweet spot for a lot of products on Amazon is still in the $20 to $50 range. I mean, there are impulse buy products. There's tons of products that kind of fit in that category. It's low risk investment. So if it fails, you can test something else versus, you know, if you're selling $300 products, you might have to spend 20, 30 grand on inventory, where if it flops, you're done. Like there goes all your cash that you were going to test with, and now you're done. Whereas again, if you can get a product made for $1, $2, sell it for $20, and it's small, lightweight, where your FBA fees are going to be lower, shipping's going to be lower, it gives you a lot of margin to play with, a lot of margin for marketing, for advertising. And as you know, like advertising costs go up over time. So, and fees increase over time too, which kind of sucks, right? But the more margin you give yourself in the beginning to play with, the more longevity you're going to have with that product as competition comes for you, PPC, like all the things we just said. So from like a data perspective, yeah, I'm a huge fan of small, lightweight, and simple. $20 to $50, good profit margin, give yourself a place to start. But something like from maybe a product research perspective, I'm kind of finding myself, I don't want to say ditching the tools, because I still use the tools. I still use all the tools, Smart Scout, the Heliums, the Jungle Scouts, all those tools in doing like product research and things. But something that I've taught or talked a lot about over this past year is look for products that are built for social media. I think the old Amazon, I'm curious what your thoughts on this are. I think the old Amazon, meaning like the pre-COVID era, the 2015 to 2020 era of Amazon, was white labeling generic products, right? It was iPhone charging cables that were not Apple brand. It was coat hangers. It was just like random stuff like that, where people could come to Amazon and get a cheaper version without spending $15 on the iPhone or the Apple brand. I think now the 2025, you could even say like the 2023 to 2025 plus Amazon is not those types of products where you're using the research tools and identifying coat hangers, but it's more of like really looking at social media and figuring out what are products that people want to post about on social media? If someone wants to post about without you paying them, I think is the biggest key. If someone wants to take pictures or videos of the products that they've purchased simply because they want to share it with their friends or followers or whatever and show how cool they are because they bought this new thing, that's a winning product. That's a product that's going to have huge legs. The new algorithm on Amazon heavily favors external traffic. So any sort of buzz you can generate with your brand name on social media, on Google or whatever, it's going to give you a huge advantage. So that's why I tell people, ask yourself the question, is this a product people would be excited to post about on social media? And if it's like, no, they're not going to post about coat hangers, they're not going to post about picture frames or whatever, generic stuff, then don't sell it because the Chinese will beat you.
Yes. Yeah. You would ask like my thoughts on it. And you've talked about tools a little bit, and my relationship with tools have also changed. I use them more as a sanity check at the back end of my research process, as opposed to on the front end. And I'll give you a good example. Imagine that you're holding a 6-inch candlestick in your hand. Okay. You light it, there's a flame and wax is dripping down. There's a little cardboard circle that would sit at the base of that so you don't get wax on your hand. Can you picture what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So I was using, this was 6 or 7 years ago, I was using Jungle Scout and I saw this huge surge in traffic for these. I went out and sourced 5,000 of them and went to start selling them a couple months later after I had finally got inventory. And I thought this was going to be my $1 million idea. As it turns out, most churches do an Easter vigil where they hand out candles to everybody, and they need these wafers to stick around their candles. And so at that point, I was searching on like the Tuesday before Easter Sunday. And so I still have probably 4,950 of those in my warehouse. And that's a great example of the metrics looked great, the margins looked great, but there was something I wasn't considering. And so that would kind of be my first, to address that first point on tools. I think the Me Too products are tough. They're really, really tough. And I fully agree with you on posting on social media. I think driving traffic on PPC alone, you tend to break even a lot or even be underwater. And so I, on the other hand, prefer products over $50, between like 50 and 100. I like boring products, which is the opposite of what you're saying, but I've had some successes there. And oversized. And that is just because it's not as saturated. Now, if you hit it wrong, your long-term storage fees based on cubic feet are going to be way higher. And so I would say that those larger products tend to carry a little bit higher risk. But I have found that they're a little less competitive. And so, your point on external traffic, I fully agree with. And I think if you see the brands that are crushing it on Amazon, they have an external source of traffic outside of PPC. And so, but yeah, really, really good answer there. I want to,
sorry.
Yeah.
Can I touch on the oversized thing?
Please.
Actually, I like that you said that. I think too, to maybe clarify for you who might be listening to this, you have to be very self-aware. I think that's something too that I've learned coaching people personally is if you're not really self-aware of your skill set with e-commerce, product development, marketing, then you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. So again, I think like the small, lightweight, and simple, $20, $50, low cost to manufacture, good margin, that protects a lot of people who may not know what their skill set is yet, or they just really want to try. Because I'm the type of person too that's like, I don't want to tell people, like, I hate to tell people like, hey, you do not have the skill set for this. Cause I've done so many calls with people. Like when I was doing high ticket private coaching, I would do calls with people before, I onboarded them as a client, and I talked to them, what's your experience? And I talked to a lot of people who in the back of my head, I'm thinking there is no chance this person is going to be successful with this. They just don't comprehend business and products, and that you have to have a sense for like what looks good, how to differentiate, like things like that. But again, I hate being that guy who like tells people don't go for it. Like, don't go for your dreams. Like, try it, learn, you'll get better. So that's kind of like my philosophy of like those type of people. However, I've had a lot of conversations with existing brand owners or people who are very skilled that, like, hey, you have a knack for this. And oversized product is something that I've recommended to quite a few people over the last few years is, how this works. How supply chain, shipping, logistics, all that stuff, storage fees, like, how all this functions in the space. Now it's time to start looking where no one else is looking. So I think you said it really good. Like, a lot of people look $20 to $50. That's a very common thing. A lot of people teach that. So it's kind of like the zig where everyone's zagging, zag where everyone's zigging, whatever concept. It's like, all right, I'm going to do the opposite. I'll do 50 to 100. I'm going to do oversized. I'm going to do boring. Like, it's the stuff that like people now start to overlook. Because most people are afraid of that. It's more risky, but if you have the skill set, it can be a huge opportunity. So I like that. I like that you said that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I agree with you. We're in agreement on this topic. So we've talked a little bit about advertising, and I'd like to dive in there. So one observation that I've had is if you have a product that's selling for $20, say your landed cost is $10 and your referral fee, FBA fee is $5 for simplicity. So you've got a $5 profit margin on a $20 product before your PPC spend. Mm-hmm. What I have found is when you start bidding on your primary keywords, you tend to have about $5 in PPC spend to convert a sale, and you're at break even. And it's the capitalism in the markets of supply and demand for keywords kind of force it to an equilibrium. And so what, as we're talking in 2025, what's your view on PPC and doing PPC in a profitable way?
This is a really good question. So in 2023, October 2023, I kind of made the shift in my own like personal business endeavors with e-commerce education. And I switched from doing primarily, I guess, consulting and coaching to services. So I launched an agency October 2023, and I've been basically doing that essentially full focus now, moved away from coaching, finished up some of my coaching agreements with students this past summer. But now I've been a lot more focused on PPC. And it's been really eye-opening to now manage a bunch of clients and do their PPC. I mean, with my team, obviously, my team's doing a lot of the day-to-day, but I mean, I actually just had 2 meetings this morning. Tuesday, I do a lot of meetings with my managers and whatnot to go over all of our accounts. So I already had 2 hours of meetings before our podcast today, talking about all of our accounts, strategies, and everything. And when it comes to PPC, it's very interesting how different strategies work or don't work for different products and brands. So like some brands and products, I should say products in particular, you can go with like a very aggressive PPC ranking strategy where, we're going to bid heavily on exact match keywords. We're going to push for ranking signals on Amazon. And then once we as we gain ranking, then the organic sales kind of pick up the slack. And that ends up pushing us to profitability, even if our ranking is, far from profitable on those conversions. But other brands, that just simply doesn't work. Like, you just can't do that. You can't afford to do that, or it's way, way, way too long-term of a game, or there's just, I don't know, depending on the offer, the price, like there's so many factors here. But I guess that's kind of like my takeaway and insight over the past 2 years is you have to find the right PPC strategy for your product. Because if not, like if you try to do PPC for profitability too soon, like, okay, I only have 25% margin to work with. And so I'm only going to focus PPC on, long tail, profitable keywords, low bids. You'll never get off the ground. You'll be stuck in like no man's land of 1 or 2 sales a day. So it's PPC is much more complex, I would say, now than obviously 5 years ago, but there's not really like a one strategy fits all. It's kind of like having a deep understanding. And I would say this is a huge benefit of working with a team, like working with an agency, a contractor, whoever, someone who has a lot of insight into a lot of different products and a lot of different categories. They're going to know, or at least have some good idea of like, hey, for this product, this is a strategy that we should test based on all these other data points that we've experienced with other brands. Otherwise, when you're, on your own little island launching products and running PPC, you're kind of at the mercy of YouTube University, trying stuff, spending lots of money, and then hopefully it working out someday.
Absolutely. I think that's probably one of the first things you ought to get off your plate as an Amazon business owner is PPC. And whether it's an agency or somebody that you hire, I like when I'm working with somebody who has visibility into several accounts. Because when you're self-managing, it's like, am I doing well? I don't know. I'm doing better than last month, but it's really helpful. And that's where agencies come in. They say, oh, okay, we manage 20 accounts and this is what we're seeing on all of these other accounts. And the cost of experimenting tends to come down because the likelihood of, that they've tried out a particular strategy on another account and can bring that knowledge to your account is really, really helpful. And so this has been great, and we're going deep on Amazon. And I, as an Amazon seller, I'm really, really enjoying this conversation. What's some low-hanging fruit for people who are having okay results on Amazon, but really want to step up their game? What's some low-hanging fruit for scaling an Amazon account?
This is probably the best advice I'm going to give today. And I think people who actually take this to heart are going to crush it. I literally just had this conversation with my agency partner this morning. Seasonal products. I'm telling you, if you're listening and you're thinking about starting, like you have no brand, no products, seasonal products. Or if you're existing and selling and you're looking to expand, your next product needs to be a seasonal product. I think the issue is we want this to be stable income, right? We want it to be like predictable, where it's like, I'm going to sell 10 units a day, 12 months out of the year. And I'm going to know exactly all my numbers, and every month my, P&L is going to be super clean. I'm going to know every month I'm going to make $2,000 profit. We like that. That makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we have a full-time job and I know where my money is going to come from. But if you're looking for low-hanging fruit where you can come in and crush it in thousands of different products, be willing to take some bets on seasonal products. Seasonal meaning, right? Just for those listening, just to, I guess, clarify seasonal products. Products that have, a window of sales opportunity, but during that window, it's extremely strong. I mean, you were talking about it with the candle thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where it might be a product where it's springtime. Obviously the holidays are big ones, like Christmas related products, Thanksgiving, holidays, Halloween, back to school, summer, winter products. But products like that, where they're not an evergreen year round type of product, but they're one where demand goes super high during a certain time of year. And I've seen from my own brand and products, and I over 120 SKUs of my own brand, seasonal always crush, and they're always the most profitable. They're always the easiest to advertise. And then even with all my clients, they have a seasonal product. Their seasonal product always crushes. So stack seasonal SKUs. In my opinion, instead of investing, like I'm going to launch 5 products that are evergreen, they're going to sell year round, I would sell 5 products. And if you want to be consistent year round, sell a product in, Q1 that does really well at the beginning of the year, find a product for spring, find one for summer, and stack seasonal SKUs throughout the year. You do have to be better, like with management, right? You got to time the inventory. You got to time stuff really well. Because if you do research right now and you see, oh my gosh, it's what is it? September, Labor Day, beginning of September, right? And you see it like a trend, like something is really popping off right now. You're like, sweet, I'm going to sell that. Like, surprise, that only sells in September and October. So next April, when you get the inventory, you're going to be like, crap, this sucks. So you kind of got to time it. But if you can, that's the best low-hanging fruit, seasonal products, in my opinion.
I think that's great advice. And I'll just add in a quick personal story. The most profitable Amazon account that I have personally ever laid eyes on was an 8-figure brand that sold Halloween costumes, and they crushed it. And what was really interesting, and I never thought about this, was they said, we work really, really hard, in October on fulfillment. And obviously 3 to 4 months prior on sourcing, but they said it's an easier brand to run because, November, December, January, we're on vacation. And I saw their Helium 10 account, and I can personally testify, super profitable, low CPC. Just, I think that's outstanding advice for experienced Amazon sellers or for somebody getting started out. So, it's very, very good. One of the things that you hear a lot of people complain about is Amazon fees. And I would say to the current Amazon sellers, what are some things that they need to be aware of? Perhaps helpful reports or areas where they can dig in and see what exactly am I being charged for, and then make decisions on managing those fees.
Yeah, the fees definitely have changed over the past 5 years pretty dramatically. I would say if I could kind of almost bundle all of fees and operations into a bucket of extreme importance, I would say logistics. I would say shipping logistics is extremely important nowadays. Because if you think about most of the fees are related to that. So inbound placement fee, that's related to shipping your product into Amazon warehouses. Are you going to send everything to one? Are you going to split it up into 5? Utilization rate, I know that's more of a sales type of metric, but it's sales based on inventory. So how quickly are you selling through your inventory that you have? You've got your inventory surcharge, your long-term storage fees, whatever you want to name those. So it all kind of comes down to how efficient are you being with your shipping, your logistics, and also we've got tariffs now. So we've got the new tariff thing. A lot of people were using different de minimis loopholes and things like that. So a lot of that's kind of out the window. So you got tariffs that you got to be really focused on. And so you just can't afford to be lazy with your shipping. I've preached this. If you go listen to 2020 original Andy Isom episodes, I love Air Express. I'm Air Express shipping from China. Yes, I love it. It's fantastic. DDP, the whole thing. You cannot ship Air Express anymore unless you're shipping envelopes, something really small, right? You're shipping boat. You're shipping boat now. That's the way you gotta find ways to be efficient with your shipping and logistics. That's where you're gonna either absolutely hurt with fees or find ways to actually be profitable. How much inventory? How much are you sending to Amazon? How long is it sitting at Amazon? What shipping methods are you using? Man, all those fees and costs really are centered around the shipping logistics thing, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So let's talk about Weavos Agency and what type of clients that you serve.
Yeah. So again, in 2023, I kind of made the shift from coaching, consulting. I still do a decent amount of coaching and consulting, but my focus now is more on providing services. I kind of saw a lot of my students, honestly, like I didn't really have plans of like, oh, here's my evolution of coaching to agents. No, it was more like I had coached so many people in 2020 to 2023 that now a lot of my students are like, Andy, like I'm growing, I'm doing good, I've got 50 SKUs now or whatever. I need help managing this. Like I can't manage this myself anymore. So people kept asking me. I used to send a ton of referrals to other agencies, but I would get feedback of people having bad experiences, and they would send me like reports and be like, Andy, like my agency is doing this. I don't know what they're doing, and I would tell them. I'd be like, tell your account manager to do this. They'd go, and then they come back like, I told them they did it, and look, it worked. I'm like, duh, like surprise. So I kind of had that aha of like, gosh, I should probably just be doing this myself. Like, why am I sending people to agencies and they're having bad experiences? So I launched my own agency, and most of my clients, honestly, are former students of mine, podcast listeners over the years. I don't do it much. I mean, I don't run paid ads. I'm not like advertising my agency. It's more just inbound, organic, people who come through my door and I kind of choose. I mean, I'm a boutique agency, you could say. I'm very involved with all my clients personally. So I can't have 400 clients like some agencies. I think I have, how many do I have? I have like 14, I think right now, full Amazon account management clients. So yeah, I can afford to be a little bit more picky on like who I want to work with. Is this an exciting, product that I feel like has potential? And yeah, like I said, it's been really, really fun and insightful to see behind the curtain of so many different products and brands and things now.
Yeah. Well, very good. Very good. This has been an outstanding interview, and I think we could probably sit and talk shop about Amazon for several hours. But before we end, we have something called the Fire Round. It's 4 questions we ask every guest at the end of the episode. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What is your favorite book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
It's a good one. What are your hobbies?
Right now, I have obviously lots of hobbies. Right now, my crazy random hobby that I'm obsessed with is my lawn. Mowing my lawn, taking care of my lawn. I mowed a putting green into my front yard. That's how crazy I am.
That's what I'm talking about. I have a feeling our Instagram algorithm might service similar content as a fellow lawn man. So yeah. What is one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
Oh, I feel like for me, like the most freeing thing was obviously not being told what to do, like being in control of what I do and what I work on. That excites me. But I think too, like being able to choose who you work with, that's a huge benefit. Like you get to have the say in like, who do you want to hire? Who do you want to partner with? Who do you want to work with? Instead of kind of being forced to work with people that you may not really get along with, but it's like, sucks to be you. You got to get along with them.
Mm-hmm. What do you think sets apart successful e-commerce entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Oh, this is a good one. I mean, I feel like this is maybe the obvious answer, but being willing to take risks. I think like risk taking goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship. So you got to build up a tolerance for taking risk and being okay if it doesn't work. Because when it does work, you're going to be super, super glad that you did take the risk.
Very nice. Andy, this has been a great episode. If people are interested in getting in touch with you or working with your agency, what's the best way?
Thank you. I appreciate that. You can just hit up my website. It's just andyisom.com. I've got a lot of links on there just to my personal content website or agency website, I should say, stuff like that. So
outstanding. Well, thank you so much for your time today and looking forward to staying in touch.
Yep, absolutely.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM400 for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?